All right, hope everybody's doing good. We are here today with a drummer and singer here in town, Danny Montero. How you doing,
Hey,
man?
what's up, brother?
Thanks for being here.
Good, good.
So I'd love to talk about his band here in a minute, but I'm sure I met you with Dave and Paul for
Yeah.
the first time at their jam.
At the
I'm
jam.
sure, and I've always loved listening to you play drums because it's so great for somebody like me or a saxophone player to not have to kind of look back here and go, what the hell is going on back there,
Right.
back in the rhythm section and having people that are holding it down. I'm sure you'd agree that you can have a bunch of gangbusters up in front, but when the drummer's kind of
Yeah.
not knowing what they're doing, boy, the whole band sounds pretty bad, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I've always been impressed by your playing,
Well,
man.
cool, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
And so how did you get started playing and whatnot?
Well, I started. My brother was doing Wipeout on the corner, and I liked the way he did it. I was probably 6 or 7, and he started to do it on the table, and that's what inspired me. Believe it or not, it was my brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I started probably around the age of 10. I saved up to get my first drum set, and I bought it at 10. I'm self-taught pretty much. I never really took any lessons from anybody.
Wow.
When I went to high school, I mean, I got kicked out of marching band because I didn't hold my drumsticks right, and it was just, but aside from that, getting started, it was, it was just kind of a self-taught thing. It was just a wantingness to play drums. It was just a thing, I guess. But I musically, I just had it in me somewhere that it was singing and playing. So, I just started with a beat-up drum set that this guy sold me, a buddy of mine that's still around. And for 125 bucks, it was an old Slingerland, real beat up, and I had it in the basement, and I had my own microphone, and I had it tied with duct tape and a wire from the ceiling, and then I duct taped the mic to the wire, and just improvised, and then sang along with the radio and played. So that just just got me started on the singing and playing part, and my voice developed, I guess, just going along, years of playing too. So, but that's how kind of that started.
Yeah, cool, man.
I didn't really. The only influences I really had were. I was into a lot of Santana. My first album was Jethro Tull and Led Zeppelin, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because my brothers and my sisters liked that. It was Aqualung and Stairway to Heaven was my first. Those were my really first 2 albums. Kiss were influences. I was a big Kiss fan when I was young. But
So it sounds like a lot of classic rock kind of stuff, huh? Like 70s stuff.
Yeah, 70s, man. Because I mean, it was, even before that, I kind of listened to. I grew up with a lot of Spanish stuff that my dad played.
Yeah.
Old school from Mexico, some of the artists from Mexico.
Yeah.
So I grew up listening to that in the household.
Yeah.
Aside from the other stuff that my brothers used to play. I never really grew up with Elvis or anything like that, man. My dad was not a big Elvis fan at all. So it was just more of that. And then I just graduated into learning more stuff and through high school and liking more like everything. Getting into a lot of Santana because my brother and my sister turned me on to like Grover Washington and stuff like that, Spyro Gyra. So I grew up with stuff like that instead of more like AC/DC and stuff. It wasn't really classic rock that I listened to.
Yeah.
So
Talk about the kind of Latin stuff that you were listening to, like you were talking about. So what, like, first of all, as a kid, did you like that stuff, or did you grow to like it, or like what? How is that?
I like the sound of it. I just I, I guess it's in the blood or in the I don't know, but I was attracted to the Latin grooves, to Santana, Malo, Chicano, El Chicano. So, and then my brothers were playing some of that. My brother Raul, he listened to a lot of that. And my sisters did, and so that influenced me, and I got into that. And since I was really like the only musician really in the family, I started getting into it because they just listened to it and turned me on to it. But I played it. I wanted to get into it and learn it and play it. And then drums, of course, were what I really loved. But, and then the Latin grooves, because I also played timbales and percussion and congas and all that. And so I like to experiment with that, and that turned me on too. I went and saved up my money and bought my first timbales. And so and then I remember when I first bought my first drum set, real drum set, because that drum set, that first one, the very first one that I had, my tom, it was such a weird old set, and it was like worth nothing, man. It was like trashed out. It could barely play. Yeah. And so the tom was a snare. It was a snare with no bottom head.
Yeah, that's funny.
And so that was my tom. And then I had this old beat up snare and an old beat up floor tom and a kick drum. It was a Slingerland. And I remember I had it in the basement, and a 1982 flood, or I think it was an 82, don't quote me on that, over there on the plaza. When that happened, that big flood, it flooded my mom's basement, and it damaged the kit. So
sure, yeah.
But that kit got me started, but it was such a thrill to get a new kit, man. I got it at Big Dude's, my very first kit, and I loved it. So.
Yeah. So I know that on drums, because you hear guitar players a lot kind of obsess about their equipment. They're probably out of all the types of like instrument people, I think guitar players are the worst about talking about this Watts and I have this, this pedal and this Fender, blah, 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 but with drums, I think novices think that all drums are the same, and they're not even close to all drum sets. You can just go pound on them and it's whatever.
Right.
But I know that it's a big deal to have your snare be your tom, right? It's not the same, right?
Right, it's not the same. It's an odd drum to even have up there. He just basically had a drum up there. It was just a tom. It was a snare that was made into a tom, so it wasn't even a real drum kit, if you want to call it that. Yeah, man, just graduating to new gear and having new gear and learning about that and being smart about it and just taking that on and learning what sound and selecting my drums by ear and not by sight.
Yeah,
that's how I do everything.
Right.
I select my drums by ear. So aside from drums themselves, when I buy a cymbal, regardless what the name of it is on the cymbal, I don't go by name. I go by what I hear, man. So if there's a cymbal on the stand and it looks good and I'm looking for a certain crash, I'll go in there and I'll smack it. If I like that sound, then that's what I'm gonna get. If I don't like the sound, whether it be Sabian, Peisty, or whatever, Zildjian, it doesn't matter. It's just, it could be a trash can lid if I want. You know what I'm saying? And if that trash can lid sounds good, that I'm gonna get it. You know,
Yeah,
just,
I think a lot of kids do that is they go for the shiny one. You know, like in the I always say like the cereal aisle. They want the one with the pretty colors. You know, but you sound like crap. You know, so what is that the purple violin for us? You know, they want the blue one. You know, well,
but which is cool. Don't get me wrong, and it's not. And now see, that's right now I'm at that stage because I'm pretty set on good sounding kits at home. I got 5 kits, 4 that are working. The 5th one is in just pieces.
Yeah.
So the 4, I'm pretty happy with them. Actually, I got 3 now. I sold one. So the 3 I'm happy with. I rotate them to use them, so I don't let them sit in the corner. I like to rotate them. But now there's a kit that I want to get that's it's pretty flashy. It looks nice. And it's a good company that makes it. So, speaking of flashy, I think I'm gonna purchase it because it looks nice and it would look nice on stage. Sounding wise, I'm sure it's gonna sound good because it's a good company. The toms are the size I want. They're the make and everything. But you know that this is probably the first time that I'm going to purchase something because it's flashy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this is I think I'm gonna purchase it because I want it. It looks nice. It's a real nice kit. It will look good.
And that's big to trust the company too. You know, I mean, it's something that happens a lot. You know, and that you kind of have dealt with Fender or whatever, or the Zildjian or whatever, you know, whatever the company is, and you know that their stuff's not gonna be trash. You just might not like it, you know. I mean, in general, whatever the company is that you like. So that's probably not a terrible bet, right?
Right. No. I mean, the company that I've chosen to get it from is I've got some of their drums anyway, which I like, and the sound I like. So I've got confidence in that company.
Sure.
If it was a company that I didn't enjoy or I thought that wasn't worth buying, I wouldn't really want to purchase it because I don't trust that company.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think it's, I don't think it would be, because in my field right now, for what I'm doing right now, I'm setting up, breaking down, setting up, breaking down, setting up, breaking down. My kid has to go through that all the time. Plus all the knuckleheads, speaking of the jams. Yeah. All the knuckleheads and, to go in there and just, lay on it, which is not, hey man, I expect that. It's a jam session, Yeah. So, but we'll get in, if you got that in a minute, but that's why, I try to also take, my older stuff, not my good stuff. So
I'm sure any of the guitar people bring in their not $2,000 amp. They bring in their.
I noticed that, but it's funny because Dave, as much as I love him to death, he just brings his guitars and lays them all together. He's not real cautious about his guitars, and it's amazing to me because just like you say, guitar players are real finicky about it, and I love his attitude about his guitars, man. Because it's great. It's like, you just don't give a shit, right? You just throw them there and you're just ready to go. But, and that's kind of how I have the attitude towards my kid. When I bring my older stuff, I just put it out there, go ahead, man, bang on it. If it cracks, it's okay, because that's what it's for. Yeah. Because I'm not going to put my good stuff out there and then a knucklehead crack it. If I'm going to crack it, it's going to be me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. And I know that happens to a lot of us too, where it's almost kind of and maybe Dave's idea or anybody else's idea is that, bring me the biggest piece of crap guitar you got, I'm still going to shred your face off. It's kind of that challenge attitude kind of a thing where you can bring me this crappy instrument, because the best instrument in the world, the 2-year-old still sucks. I mean, they're a 2-year-old, but a really, really great player can make a really bad kit sound pretty good,
Right.
you know. So
That's the saying too,
You know?
and it's true. I mean,
Yeah. Equipment's not everything, you
you
know.
know,
Yeah,
equipment's
yeah.
not everything. If you're a
Yeah.
good drummer, you're gonna make that kit sound good, regardless
Yeah,
of what it is, man. I've played on every kind of kit that there is, or tried to anyway, and I've been on real nice and real crappy.
Yeah.
Man. So, and it's all in how you approach it and how you play it. Of course, me playing, like when I like to play, I like to have good stuff, man. I like
Yeah.
my stuff to take the endurance that I'm gonna give it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Without it
Yeah.
breaking, and so I try to buy the best and use the best. But still, you know, and I feel crappy when I have to, because what I do is, man, is I go in there and I put my good stuff on, because it's my first hour. I want to
Yeah.
use my stuff.
Yeah.
That's that's the chance that I get to play my stuff, my kid, right, with the band. So on the next hour, when the jam session comes in, I see drummers come in. Well, I got my drum tech, Jerry, will come up and I'll tell him, hey man, change my cymbals around. So he'll go up there and he'll grab my cymbals. All right, man. And he'll start changing just my 2 crash cymbals. You know, I'm not trying to be an a-hole, right? But I want to not be able to crash or crack my stuff. Here, crack these, man. So
I don't think anybody would fault you for that.
Yeah,
You know, I think
and then-
every single drummer in town understands what you're doing there.
Yeah,
You know,
drums you can beat on, the cymbals, the 2 crashes. That's the ride cymbal. I don't care. Hi-hats, they're already broke anyway, but they sound good. You can knock on those. The snare and the snare and the 2 crashes are kind of the important, man.
Right,
You know,
right.
because you know, even hard hitters, man. When they smack on the snare, they'll welt the snare or unnecessarily. I'm not saying they do it on purpose,
Right.
but sometimes it's like, you know, man, dude, you don't have to play that loud. It's unnecessary, man. And I'm sure all the musicians that you talk to have told you that.
Yeah, right. So speaking of that, speaking of kind of the jam that you guys have, I like coming to your jam because for a couple reasons. One, your house band is really good. You and Paul and Dave are good players. You guys know what's going on. You run a pretty good jam in the sense of getting people up, and I like the songs you guys are picking, you know, in general too. But so I've had, you know, on the show we've talked quite a bit about jams because I've had a lot of jammers on the show, and I've had Steve Andrew on and Billy Ebling and Paul and Dave, and so I've had some hosts on, and we've talked a lot about it. You even mentioned it a little bit ago, how when you go to a jam and you kind of get a lot of different types of players, but you also get a lot of different quality of players too. And I've mentioned that I'm not scared to kind of come out and say that once in a while I get frustrated by, you know, and I'm making a silly example, but guys that started like literally 3 days ago and they want to get up on stage,
Right.
you know, and I know I know that everybody has to kind of get up there and suck for a bit, you know, you can't,
But
you
see,
know,
happens-
what's your opinion of that?
Well, let me tell you how that works. What happens is, even though these guys should get a chance and deserve a chance to get up and play and enjoy the play, which we all started that way, but it sucks for you, me, or some drummers. Look, it's different for drummers, man, because it's for you guys. It's the drummer. For me, a guitar player, as long as there's another guitar player that kind of knows what he's doing, as long as he ain't playing out of whack, it's okay. Keyboard, sax, I don't care. Bass player, okay, that means a little bit to me. I gotta at least click with the bass player, okay?
Yeah.
So, for you guys, I would assume it's the drummer. You get a shitty drummer up there that's like way out of whack, man. He's not in pocket, and again, he started 3 days ago, or he's been playing for 3 months, And you know the kind I'm talking about, man. So they get you up there with those people, it ruins it for you. It ruins it for that guy, for the other guy, for the sax player, the guitar player, drummers, because drummers they're driving the bus, man. And if that bus is like this, if it's going like this, everybody else in the bus is going like this.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Yeah, so you guys are so linked with the bass player that is you guys.
It makes a difference for me.
Yeah.
I want to be able to link me up with a good bass player or somebody that at least will follow me, and so it works kind of for everybody like that. That's my view from my perspective of it, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the damage that it makes. It ruins it for you and the other players as far as a shitty drummer, because then it's no fun.
Right.
It becomes, man, it's like, what is going on? What's wrong with this drummer?
Yeah.
And it's depressing. It's no fun. Then the jam it kind of ruins your night. And so
because this is what I've been getting at, and I'm sorry everybody if I'm repeating myself a lot, but what you just said is my general argument with everybody trying to, because I come off like a music snob all the time, and I don't mind, and I don't mind having that title, because I am, I want stuff good, I like stuff good, but you just made my argument for me that, if you're talking about this kind of two-pronged thing where I either want music to be really, really good or that we're having fun, is sort of the counter argument that I always hear to my arguments. But you just made the argument is when you get that bad drummer, what is it not? Fun. So it's like who wants to go hear bad crap? Zero people want to go hear bad music, so I don't.
So when it comes to that point, what needs to be done is actually is all the players that are kind of at that level, okay? And I'm not dissing nobody, but anybody who's at that level, kind of get them together on that, together to play, so it's not as bad. Because it's really bad, and it doesn't sound bad it sounds bad to the audience, and the audience gets discouraged, and they want to leave. I've seen people leave and get discouraged because they're like, man, what happened to the jam? It went from, man, this is great, and everybody's enjoying it, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, it's like they got hit by a bus. Because they've just literally got somebody up there who's either had one too many to drink, or just don't know how to play correctly, or it's just not up to par to the rest of the players. So it's important to mix your players, man, to who you're gonna team your players up with. And don't get me wrong, man, we've all been there. I'm guilty of it too. Of going in there and saying, man, I ain't playing with that guy. Come on, man. How many times have all of us have gone over there, you know what I mean? All of us as musicians, at one point it says, man, I ain't playing with that guy because I know how he plays. He just don't know how to play.
And then they start coming over, Paul, I'll get up on the next one, and you're like, don't be trying to get out of that.
Right.
Don't be trying to get,
And you know what? I'm getting ready to eat right now. I'll get up on the next one. So like with this thing, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, everybody, but so I've come up. Your water if you ain't gonna drink it.
Oh yeah, do it, man. It's whatever. So what I've thought of is that so we have an issue here of we want to, in general, I'm not even talking about one jam, but over like Kansas City jams, because we have a bunch of them, right? 8 or 10 of them, even blues jams. So we have this issue that we want to make sure that the, Jim Kavanaugh's and maybe, somebody like me and the Steve Hawkins and like, some people that are, they're decent. They've been to many jams. They're kind of a veteran. We want to make sure that they're up there and they can showcase their stuff as much as they can. with like your guys' house band type players up there with so they can showcase.
Right.
But then we have this other problem of allowing the other people. So a couple solutions is one, we get at one particular jam, you get kind of towards maybe the low time or the end of the night, you get, you know, kind of a handful of them and you kind of make a kind of a crappy set.
Right.
Second option is you do what you just talked about where you get the one bad guitar player up there with a bunch of other pretty good guys and then they help kind of carry him. And then the other solution is you make the different jams do that, right? And this is what like the Foundation and the Blue Room have figured out is that
Right.
the Foundation, they kind of be like, if you come up here, you need to kind of sort of have your crap together, you know,
Okay.
and then you have different jams that go like, well, this is kind of an invite only
Right,
jam,
right,
or
okay.
you know, so that's
And-
some solutions that
Right.
I've
Okay.
thought
So
of.
when I was when I went to when I was fortunate enough to go to New Orleans and be down in New Orleans, I did the cruise ships, and so New Orleans was the main port. We were there like every Monday or Sunday.
I didn't know you did the cruise ships. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
man,
didn't know that.
did two different cruises I did, and so when I was down in New Orleans, man, there was jam sessions there, but they were like invitation only, or they were like, hey man, you know, do you know how to play, or you know, we don't just let nobody up here. So, you know, it was kind of, you had to convince these guys, hey man, you know what, I've been around, bro, I know how to play, believe me, I won't let you down. You know, I was kind of almost like, man, begging somebody, you know, man, dude, let me play. Because I wanted to play. I know these cats were like badasses, and I'm like, man, I
Yeah.
just want to play with you guys, man.
Yeah.
Just to enjoy the music, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And be at that level. Quickly, off the, not to change the subject,
No,
but I love a challenge, man.
Yeah.
For me, I love to play with better musicians.
Mm-hmm.
I love a challenge. I'd rather be the lower class musician in the band. Not really, but I'd rather
Yeah.
be the one that needs to, you know, hey man, these guys are pro players. I'd rather want to, I like a challenge. I
Yeah.
like to play with those kind of professional people, man. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
where it was okay anyway, but the invitation only thing I think is very important. I think they need to probably do that, man. You know, try that and say, okay, you know, we're gonna sign the list, and then everybody sign the list, and then we pick whoever's gonna, let's pick these guys. Okay, you guys, the other guys can't play, but man, that's hard. That's hard to put
I know.
put in motion, because how many players that
Are
really are
gonna
kind
end
of
up
like,
showing up. Yeah.
you know, they're showing up, and you know, I don't want to mention names, but there's a couple of knuckleheads that I would say, you know what, man, I'd rather you not play.
Yeah.
You know, but only because you come here and spend money, and you're a patron here, and everybody knows you, and blah blah blah.
Well, the other way you could do that is like, for example, like let's say it's a Trampled Underfoot or your guys' band or whatever. You have your show, and you don't like portray it on KKFI like a jam. You portray it like we are, you know, Dave Hayes band, and then you tell random people, these four guys, hey, if you want to show up, we will let you. You know, that's the way you do it. So nobody, you know, you're not promoting it as a jam.
Right.
That would be another way to kind of do it. So
Right.
you have kind of a jammy thing where you're able to have people come in.
And
You know
that's
what I mean?
that's even a better idea.
Yeah,
that
I mean, you
too, and yeah, because I think if you isolate players, man, it's gonna cause friction there,
Yeah, right.
and tension, and people aren't gonna like that, and then
Right.
you're gonna lose patrons, and then
Right.
you might even lose friendships like that. You know,
Yeah.
man, you know what? Screw
Yeah.
Dave, you know, piss on him. You know.
Right.
So we've
Yeah.
already lost a couple of patrons down at the Firehouse due to the service there.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, that's the kind of stuff that we don't want.
Right,
Man. We
yeah.
want, and you know, I've had my fill of falling outs with a couple other musicians there, but not really serious. But
Yeah.
you know, they know they're always invited, man.
Yeah.
It's always under the table and water under the table, and it's all peace and love, man. It's music, man.
Yeah,
there's no time
that happens though, man. I mean, that's
and
just,
it happens.
Yeah.
It happens, and it's unfortunate. And I'm guilty of losing my temper, man. I ain't gonna say I'm innocent of that. Hey, I'm guilty of it too. But
I've been saying, you know, my opinion on this show, you know, and some of my opinions, I'm sure some people, you know, aren't gonna love it, but it is what it is.
I can say a lot of different stuff, but you know, I'm Catholic, man. I try to go to church on Sundays as much as I can, but you know, I believe that there's you need to forgive and let things go, man, and not harbor hate inside you, because it damages you, man. It takes you to another realm. Anger takes you to another realm, man. And anger, if it festers inside you, man.
Yeah, and you keep it.
You keep it, and you can't let it dwell. And so I believe on letting things go. And, you know, so other musicians that I've ever had running with, you know, they're always welcome at my jams, man. Yeah. But again, that's a great idea to advertise the band and just say, you know, and then it's the Dave Hayes Band, and if we decide we want to make it into a jam, then that's the better way to go.
Like Brian Ruskin has done that at the Phoenix, right? He has his band, and he's asked me, you know, anytime that you want to come bring your instrument, do it, you know, and so, but it's his show, it's not a jam, and he'll have, you know, a couple of us up there.
Right, and then, see, it's different, like for cats like you, and sax players, and horn players, and it's different, man. Yeah. It's easier. It's sweeter. Mm-hmm. It makes the music sound tastier with what you guys do. Not. It's harder that when you get another drummer in there or another guitar player in there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's more easier and simpler to just squeeze you guys in, man. Here, go stand in the corner and blow that horn, man, or go over there and hook up with your violin, or. You know, but you start bringing a guitar player and his amps, and then it starts changing things and the tones. Right. You guys are like the icing on the cupcake, man, and the cherry on top.
We're not the cupcake. We're the icing on the
cupcake, but you're the icing. You're the sweetness of it, man. So
I agree.
You know, I wholeheartedly love all instruments, any kind of you know, wind instruments or string instruments, man. But when you get into the guitar and bass realm and drumming realm, then that starts changing everything and the focus of things, man.
So you said something interesting before we started, and I kind of felt this way too, that at first, so here's my example, is that I was doing a lot of classical, and then I'd listened to rock for a long time, so in college I kind of started to play the rock band, and so I was kind of had this rock classical kind of thing, and I definitely I liked jazz, and I you know, started listening to some more and whatever, but then these random guys called me to come play in a country band, and I was like, country, you know, and I was just like, okay, I'll go try it, you know, and later on I actually really liked it, because I didn't really know what it was, but my point is that I had this kind of direction that I was wanting to go, and you know, especially like doing only originals. I'm gonna do this jazz. I'm gonna have this integrity with my, you know, that was my stupid young person view, and then I went over and I was like, you know what? I actually don't hate cover tunes. I have 500 cover CDs in my CD. You know, it's like I keep thinking I hate cover tunes, but I don't really actually hate, you know. And so I was fooling myself, and I was thinking I didn't like country, and I was listening to some other, like, and these 30 songs are freaking awesome, you know. And you were talking about kind of the idea of where you had your kind of dream at first, and then, you know, kind of where we end up, and it's kind of crazy how that works, huh? You know.
When I was young, I had that dream. I was early 10, or I started about 9 or 10, and that's what I wanted to do, man, was play drums, and I was good at. A quick story.
Yeah, do it.
I took my dad down to my dad wasn't a big music fan. He liked old school music, but he wasn't interested in his son being a musician. He wanted his son to be a lawyer or a doctor or go to school, learn something.
Oh.
Okay, so I love my dad. God bless him.
Yeah.
So my dad, I took him down to Big Dudes. I must have been 9 or 10 years old. There was a drum set down there that I really wanted. I really wanted it real bad. And so behind Big Dudes, before it was Big Dudes, it used to be a Mexican restaurant. So the guy that sold it to Big Dudes sold the building, but behind it, he still owned the behind there. He still made tortillas in the back. So I worked back there for like 3 summers and saved my money and saved it. And I finally took my dad down to Big Dudes and said, man, hey, come on. I dragged him down there after work. I finally got him down there. Sat down on the drum kit, started playing. The salesman goes, man, you know, your kid's really good. I was showing my dad, look, Pop, I can play, you know, and he's like, man, your kid's really good. You need to, you know, man, he's really a good kid. He knows how to play. And my dad, he just didn't buy that shit, man. He wasn't going to buy it. Later, maybe some other time, come on. So that just drove me, man, I'm going to get this drum kit, man. I'm going to get a drum kit. It may not be this one, but I'm going to get something. And so that just, you know, that the drive made me, influenced me to want to do it, man. So, but I got that. I did that, and the music, you know, by the time once I started playing, you know, I assumed, man, by the time I'm 35 or something, you know, I'm gonna be rich, or I'll be somewhere. I'll be famous, or never happened, man. What happened, and I can tell you exactly what happened, man. I wouldn't be where I am today had it not be. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I'm blessed and I love where I'm at today, but it's not where I wanted to be, because just like all of us, we want to go somewhere, and it's not where I wanted to be. Had I have gone to the East Coast or to the West Coast, I'd have done something. I'd have been somewhere. I'd have gone somewhere, because my determination that I have inside me, and that I've always had, could have driven me there and took me there. Just like an actor that leaves from here and wants to go be an actor.
Broadway, blah blah blah.
Yeah, man. They got this determination that they're gonna do it, well, regardless what it's gonna take. Well, that's what I have in me, and I've always had that, but I never left here, man. So all those young players that are out there, they're badasses. Don't stay here, man. Go, leave, get out of here. Go to the West Coast, to the East Coast, Seattle, LA, Memphis, you know, Nashville, New York, man. Where all the music scene is, that's where you need to be, right there. That was where I failed. That's what happened, and that's why I'm here today. Or else I wouldn't be here, man. I'd be doing. I always wanted to play concert stage, you know, big concert stage, thousands of people, man. Just one time, just one time I would be happy to do that. But, you know, that was always my goal, man. Tour and play music all the time, man. You know, that's what I wanted to do. I own a business now. I run and own my own business, and I got my own crews, and so aside from the music, which I dearly love and always will play, I have to do that to make our earning too. You know, everybody's got to do something. But yeah, man, I wouldn't be here. I'd be touring, man. I'd be playing music, writing tunes, just composing and producing, and oh man.
Yeah.
But I just got stupid and lazy, and played the bar scene, and played bars, and played with bands that just stuck with bars. And I've been trying to hook up with somebody who plays original material. It's always original material, man. I can't stress that harder, or to anybody who's doing that. If anybody wants to do it, It's all original material. It's got to be your own stuff.
You know, that's interesting you talked about that, because I think the day job thing is a problem. You know, I mean, and we've all dealt with it. And I've heard, obviously, stories about, one of my buddy keeps talking about, like, his band was crappy in the 90s and they were playing 5 nights a week. You know, he was talking about just the scene in general now as opposed to 70s, 40s, 90s, whatever. But he was talking about some of these guys they had so much work that they could make a living just playing. And now it seems like I don't know if I know any musician in town that just plays. And they just can't, you know, there might be a couple that I don't know of, but most of us have our other thing, our other other gig. And for me, it's teaching lessons. You know, I have a whole bunch of lessons, so there's my day job, and then I get to play and make, you know, a fourth to a tenth to a half of your income can be this other playing thing. You know, if you gig quite a bit, you can make some money, you know, but everybody has to find their thing. And you were talking about the idea of setting the goal of, here's my goal, but that was before I got a job. You know, that was like in college and before I really knew what real world, you know, and all that. And then really I get out here and then I'm like, oh man, you know, so I was thinking, like, what I could have is 3 to 5 gigs a month and be playing fun shows with a band or whatever. And, you know, what is that? Is that nothing? Well, no, that's something. You know, and then so that's the idea of deciding, I think, what your goal is. You know, is the goal, and that's where I had to kind of, and I don't know, I've had some people on the show that think that that's a bad idea. I need to, like, maybe what you were talking about is you need to go for it. You need to start, you know, these guys were like, you need to pick a year, like when you're 24 and literally practice all year. And you need to go for it. You need to move to Nashville, and then I've heard other guys that, you know, talking about the safe play, right? The safe play is make this an extra thing in your life, have your day job, etc. And I don't know, you know.
Man, there's the serious musician and there's the working musician. There's the hobbyist musician. There's, look, I've been fortunate, thank God, I've been fortunate to be able to go on a cruise ship and leave for 4 months and 6 months, man, at a time. Dave Hayes, man, before I left on this last cruise to Europe, we were playing 7 nights a week, man. Dave Hayes, man, and I can't exactly tell you the bars, but they were all jam sessions. One was in Liberty, one was on Troost, one was Llewellyn's, one was the Firehouse, one was. But this was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, just 7 nights a week. And we were fortunate enough to play all those nights, man. So I got to give it to Dave and Paul. They're busy, always cooking, man. So, which is great, which every serious musician that lives by playing music usually does. They're hustling, man. Because that's what they want to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. On the other end, there's things that I'd like to acquire in life that I want to move up. And maybe buy another classic ride, or, you know, I collect classic rides. But I like to have, you know, not that I need another one. I ain't going to buy another one. But what I'm saying is, to acquire better things, we all need money. So for me I'd rather work during the day, man, and maybe make some more money, own my own business. I have an avenue that I can make more money by running my own business. So I'm going to take advantage of that. I don't mind working hard during the day. I get up at 6. I'm usually at work by 8. I got my crew going. I usually go from one job, then I'll go to the next, see everything's working, go get materials, do what I got to do. and put 8 hours in and go home, you know, and come home, and my day is more enjoyable like that because I feel like I've accomplished something that day, man.
Yeah.
You know, I've finished the guy's house, or man, we just painted this guy's house, and he's loving it, and I'm happy, and everybody's happy, and we're all, you know, and then at the end of the job, I get paid for it. I get my money, and I go home, and I have my gig money, and I have my work money, so it pays bills, man. So, but it's just all in the musician, man. There's musicians that got their, hey, like, there's a couple of musicians that have day jobs, man. They're dedicated to their day jobs. Monster players, I ain't gonna mention names.
Right.
Monster players, and I love them to death. They're my brothers. But they work for corporate, man. They got a corporate job. They, you know, they only get 2 weeks vacation and or paid, and you know, they have to go to work. They have to be there every week and every day, and you know, and it's different. But they still play full time if they can, whenever they're available. So those, to me, those guys are hard ass. They're the hard kickers of the music scene. Those are guys that really put a lot of effort into their music and life. I would say. You know?
Yeah, and then the other. This is one thing that, again, sorry for everybody if I'm repeating myself, but this is another one that I've wanted to bring out on the show a lot, is because you were talking about the kind of purposes of why somebody is coming into a jam. You know, for me, I'm trying to hustle. You know, I want a good experience, a musical experience on stage. Yeah. I want to get to know people like yourself. You know, I'm not even coming to the jam for fun. I want, you know, I'm trying. Fun is secondary, just like what you said. This job is first, music second. You know, so I look at hustling and having a great music. I'll just say it right out loud. Well, other guys, it's fun first. If it's good, well, okay, you know. And so the same thing now with picking bands. You know, of why you're in this band right now, and you just kind of hit on it, is that this guy is not trying to become the next Steven Tyler. You know, he has a huge day gig. This is blow off steam for him, you know, and then you have, or like a Dave Hayes maybe, who, you know, I'm a big name, you know, I'm in the scene deep, you know, I'm trying to run jams, get to know everybody.
He's in the scene deep. He's in the, you would book more gigs. So.
but you know what I'm saying, where you have two different people that have two different mentalities. Then you get into then you try, this one guy wants to have a band, and now he has a certain idea of not even the little stuff, like we're gonna play originals, we're gonna do this song, but it's the general like commitment level, you know, to this group. You know, how many nights a week do you have free? Do you even give a crap about this, or is it just kind of fun?
That's always been a big problem with pro players and other players that are not at the same level, but still want to get a band together, and they're, you know, and they're just trying to make things work. But it's hard, man, because the working players, the upperclassmen players, don't think the same as lower class players. And what I mean by that is, a lot of us are like mentality. It's a work thing.
Received from Danny Montero.
So we're working. It's not only a business, but it's a work. You know, it takes work to do that.
Sure.
And you gotta, if you're gonna have a band, let me give you a prime example. I just joined a band right now, and these are not what I would, for me, they're not, they're lower class players. They're lower classmen for me. They weren't even expecting me to play. They were honored for me to play, and I'm not trying to make my head big. I'm not going there. But they were saying, "Man, it's great. We appreciate you playing with us," and I'm doing it because I've got friends in that band that are friends of mine, and I want to help them out, man. And I know, hey, it'll sound good. Let me help you. Let me give you some of my advice. Let me help you. So their thought of playing and my thought are two different levels, man. So I had to go in there and tell them, look, we're going to have to, this is what I'm just expecting out of you. If you guys could do this, I'm in. We can make this happen. So it has to, we all have a different level, man. All of us have a different level, but it's hard because all the pro players or the bigger players can't commit, man. We can't, a lot of us can't commit. We just want to go in there and do the gig. We don't want to spend the time putting it together. Look, I don't have 2 months to stay in the garage and practice, man.
Right.
I want to go and do the gig. I'm good enough that I promise you I can follow you. I can do the gig and do it well. Now, if you're talking about making it a real tight band and making it really happen and doing something else with it, I'm all in if it's all going to happen and you got the correct players. But, you gotta, I'm real sticky. Again, we're picky on who we play with too. But on the other hand, I don't want other players to think that I'm stuck up and shit because I want to play and I'll play with anybody. But the different level of thought because they want to do, they're wanting to do different stuff that I'm telling them, man, everybody else does that. We don't want to do that. We want to do something different. You want to do different stuff. You don't want to do Mustang Sally. You don't want to do Shaky Ground.
Right.
You don't want to do this or that because those songs everybody does or Tore Down or, just you want to do something that's not normal that people will say, man, that sounds good. You guys, man, where'd you pull that out of?
Well, you said, so what I've been curious about that kind of idea is that I think up until now, especially from, I don't know, after high school, I've been annoyed at this idea that when I feel like I have a pretty 150 page solid argument of why this is going to be the right way for us, where I can, I'm just going to absolutely light them up in a debate, with this musical concept or that and well, when you said one quick thing is that you said what I want and you laid it out sort of at the beginning. This is what I'm looking for. So you're setting expectations a little bit on your from yourself to them when you're in a band. So that's one. But second of all is when you've set the expectations or when the band has or whatever, and let's say you have a person that's not even close, not even close to pulling their weight or totally different
That's what I call dead meat, man.
Dead meat. And so my thing is what I've been frustrated about is what I want the solution to be is I can fix them and I can fix it. That's what when I was younger, I wanted that to be the solution.
Right.
And if I were to take the mentality of I'm not going to be able to fix him, and then I just make the solution, I go find like-minded individuals, which is the solution that I've heard more people saying.
Right.
My problem was I keep feeling like I'm giving up and this thing isn't fixed. There's a problem here of this person, keeps playing the wrong chord on this stupid song, and I want to make him play it right and fix this problem. I feel like I'm not fixing the problem when I just move on to a different group.
Right, but what happens is that drags everything down, and that it takes more time to make things happen. A player that kind of knows what they're doing will assemble that quickly.
Yes.
Will put it together quickly and say, okay, there it is, let's move on. Mm-hmm. Guys that don't know what they're doing will stumble and take time to learn it. It will have to take time to learn it when, again, a guy that knows what he's doing will just do it quickly and take care of the problem and get it done.
So the solution is pick the right people. I mean, that's and it's not even for him, but it's for you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how much time are you wasting
you gotta have
with
common sense in a band with dead meat and dead weight. whatever you want to call it. Now, what I mean by that is I played in this band where the guy had, it was a great band. It was just 5 of us. And then he had his wife play in the band, and she was the 6th member. All she did was play tambourine, and she could barely sing, man. But he insisted that she had to be in the band because she, of course, you know, she made him do that, right? So
She's in his ear.
she had to be in the band, but it was definitely dead space, and actually to the point where, you know, it didn't work. It wasn't working for the band. It was like, she can't sing that, or don't hit it right there, or no, you're going too fast on the tambourine, or you're not in sync, or, you know, it was just, didn't work. So that's what I mean by common sense and dead weight. The guy, knowing that it's his band, man, you know, common sense is going to tell you, dude, you got to take your wife to the side and be nice to her and tell her you just can't be in the band. It's not working. You know, it's not going to work. Functionally, it's not working correctly, and you can't be in the band. So you have to use common sense too, man. For me, when I put, like, my band Fail, I tried to get just 5 guys and 5 of the best players, man, and it turned out perfect. It was the band that I wanted. It was sounded just like I wanted. It was just like Latin fusion stuff. It was really cool, man. And it all worked only because I had all good players, man. I hand selected I want that guy. That guy I want. This guy is going to work too.
There's so much of the playing stuff that just goes away. Like you said, you know, when you get really good players, there's stuff that you never have to deal with.
I don't have
you
to
know,
deal
you-
with
you-
that.
you don't
There
have
was
to
so
deal
many
with that,
obstacles, so many obstacles that I could just hurdle because it corrected itself because of these guys being pro players, man.
They know when they messed up.
They know when they messed up. Man, that's not gonna work right there. Okay, let's do it again. 2, 3, bam, bam. Came out perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, he's gonna remember that.
Right.
We'll remember that when we do the show. And when we did the show, that's showtime, man. It's time to, okay, I'm gonna check these guys out. I'm gonna be on their asses. I want a good show. And man, it turned out perfect.
Yeah. And so what I've been fascinated by is, you talked about that conversation with the wife or whatever. When I bring up this attitude, like you said, of the having common sense, well, maybe you and I might get accused of being mean, you know? And I'm like,
yeah,
you know, you know what I mean? I don't know
Right.
what to say to those guys, because it's just like, well, you know, and this is back to the jam thing.
Right,
It
right,
is the same
right.
problem.
It's
Is
not.
that they're going like, well, yeah, but you're being mean, and I'm like, well,
Right, but
You
you know
know, you
what,
gotta
man?
get over
There's,
that, man.
There's a time when you got to put meanness and common sense aside. I mean, for instance, I've had a couple of guys at the gym that had a couple of too many drinks, and they get up there, and I told Paul, don't let that guy get up, man, because he already just sounds awful. And he's
Talking.
already toasted.
yeah.
He's already lit up, and don't let him up there, because when he gets up there, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
And then people are gonna frown on that, and they don't like that. That's not entertainment for them, man. So for me and then I that's the kind of common sense stuff that I'm talking about. That ain't being mean, man. You know what? If I had a big hook, dude, like on the Gong Show when they used to pull that girl up, yeah, I'd have me a hook, man, and I wouldn't be shy to use it. But you know, again, you don't want to be mean, but you certainly want to use common sense, and you know, you can do it politely too, by not even just inviting them up. Hey, man, you know what? We're gonna just wait, or you know, there's somebody in front of you, or
Right.
But again, man, you have to deal if it's a jam session, you're gonna have to deal with all the knuckleheads. We've already started that role for us, me and Dave and the Dave Hayes band, we've already initiated ourselves to the jam thing. Everybody knows us. Oh, go to Dave Hayes, man. You can jam. You know, everybody knows you can sit in. So the whole thing now is to do it like you said, is to get a gig where, you know, we're gonna strictly just Dave Hayes, man, and hey, we invite you. You show up with your fiddle, man. Come on up, you know.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
we're getting close here. Probably. Can you think of another like gig experience that you had that you'll never forget, or you know, one that was good or one that was horrible that's really hilarious now but not so funny at the time? You know, like Paul talked about one where the cops came the cops came to get a guy and they had to come through the bar. I mean, that was a silly one, but
I'll tell you one. I got arrested. This was at Sturgis. I was with the band Blue 88. I love Blue 88, man. They're my good people. I was at Sturgis with Blue 88. I had to go real bad. We were on stage, big show. It was a great show. Sturgis, you know, Sturgis is crazy, man. It's wildness.
Yeah.
So we're doing the show. I had to go real quick. She's looking at me. I'm saying, go. Okay. So we take break. Okay, we'll be right back. I jump off the stage. Go run down the steps. The bathrooms they're all full. Okay, so I run around the corner into the alleyway and I start to relieve myself behind a Coke machine. So I'm behind the Coke machine and I hear this guy go, "Hey, what are you doing back there?" And so I'm behind a Coke machine, so I lean back like this and I see there's like 6 sheriff, man.
Oh, goodness.
6 policemen. And they're all walking down this alleyway, and the silhouette from the lights and everything made them look like 6 sheriff coming down with guns slinging, ready to go, right? So they come up on me and they go, "Hey, what are you doing back there?" And I go, by that time I kind of already sit there. I go, "Oh, I'm just checking to see if it's plugged in." He goes, "It's plugged in. Come here. I know what you're doing." He goes, "You're under arrest." So we're on break. This is break time. We're just taking a 15-minute break. He arrests me. I go, "Man, I'm doing a show right now." He goes, you can't arrest me." He goes, "No, you're under arrest." He goes, "If you want him to bail you out, you got to go to the end of I'm going to take you to the end of the alleyway where they got the command post." So he arrests me, and I'm telling my girlfriend, who at the time, I don't know who it was, I tell her, "Go tell Blue 88 I'm getting arrested." So I go up there. He's got me in handcuffs. We're in break, man. He's got me in handcuffs up there, and it's a $250 fine for urinating in public. So, of course, they make good money, right? How many people are urinating in public over there, right, man? They make cash. They make bank on that. So I'm like this, and he goes, "It's $250 for your bail right now for me to release you." And I go, "I think I got the money in my pocket, man. I just got paid from a gig." He releases me. I reach in my pocket, $250. Here, man. Here. Oh, man, I put the rest in my pocket. He released me, signed the paper, gave me my piece of paper. I run to the stage just in time that they were looking at me. Mark was up there, Sue was up there, the bass player was up there, ready to play, man. I just got up there in time to jump on the stage, grab my sticks, and start playing, dude. I was freaking out.
Oh, yeah. So I'm surprised they even gave you paperwork. Right?
Yeah.
See, that's what's funny to me. Even at Sturgis, I mean, they don't even take you to the show. They just take you over here to this booth because they have so much riffraff going on at that place.
Oh, they had like 7 guys in there.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. Yeah, they don't give a crap
It's
about
a command post. It's a moneymaker. It's a scheme.
Yeah.
It's just they just run them through the mill and
that's crazy.
Hey,
man.
you can't do that. Hey, come on. But that's probably one of my famous little stories
that's
that I
funny.
had, but there's a couple other ones.
Yeah.
Quickly, the best concert the biggest one I've ever played with lots and lots of people that I really enjoyed was I did play. I opened up for Nicolette Larson at Sandstone, or not Sandstone, Starlight Theater, and then we did a gig at Sandstone, but that wasn't a lot of people. But one of the most biggest gigs I had was with Samantha Fish when we did a show with her. So I enjoyed a lot of the stuff that we did with Samantha Fish and going on the road and doing that stuff. But aside from that, all those other there was a few stories, but that's probably one of my best ones.
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean,
yeah.
it just all timing. It was just at that point, it was just a matter of timing, and it just amazed me how it all went so quickly and processed so quickly that it was like, okay, you can get out of jail, give me your money, go. It was like,
and then 2 seconds later, you're like back up on stage, ready to play a gig.
Right.
It
was just like quickly, man. It was like, you want your money or give
that's
your money.
funny. Yeah, and definitely we all play with different mentalities, because sometimes you'll get over and these people are like super, it's like a private party and you know them and everything's just chill and the people are nice, and then you like get into Sturgis or another random bar where everybody's a complete like dickhead, the owner's a dickhead, and like the whole crowd is in a fist fight, and like you just get crazy different mentalities and stuff. And then you do somebody like even myself, where then you get to go play in like a symphony where everything is, like proper and everybody's in suits, and, and then you go back over to like the Winfield Bluegrass Festival with all these like hippie guys and everything's grungy and you're sitting around a campfire. Like, it's just the different things you get to play for as a musician.
And, I admire those like bluegrass players. That's my favorite. A lot of that music is my favorite, man.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people look at me like I'm nuts because I'm Latino, but believe it or not, bluegrass is one of my favorites.
That's cool,
I love bluegrass, man. Brother, Where Art Thou, that CD. Dude, I could listen to that all day long, I swear to God. I love that CD. Bluegrass, I wish I could pick the banjo or something, man. I just want to jam with those guys. I could sit there for hours and listen to those guys.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
So, yeah, that's really cool stuff. I admire that a lot, man.
Well, I think we're about pretty good here. Again, Danny Montero, thanks for coming, man. Yeah,
no problem.
And again, he's playing with Dave Hayes' band, so come check them out. They're playing all over town, and I know sometimes you sit in with some people, so you're playing all over the place, and definitely always appreciate getting to play with you, man. I never have to worry about you back there. You know all the songs. You got a good pocket. You don't overplay. Man. We didn't really talk too much about that today, but I'd love some time to have your whole Dave Hayes band come in and do a music talk with all three of you guys. That'd be real fun.
Yeah, that'd be
maybe
cool.
we could set that up
and do that. We'd love to do that.
Have you guys with your instruments too? We could play talk, and that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. That'd be cool. Maybe even do an acoustic vocal thing or something.
Yeah.
So
cool,
man. That's really cool. I appreciate you interviewing me and stuff like that, man. It's really
no
cool.
problem, dude.
That,
all right.
Yeah. Cool.
Get out of here. We're done. See you guys later.
All right. Thanks.